time to pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The purpose of tonight's meeting is for the board to be able to hear from the citizens of SAD44 in regards to the book challenge of the book titled Me Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews, which is located here in the Telstar Library. As you're most likely aware, a challenge of instructional materials form was submitted for Me Earl and the Dying Girl. For policy IJJ, a review committee was formed and ultimately recommended that the book remain in circulation. The review committee's recommendation was then appealed to the board. Tonight's meeting will be strictly an information gathering session. The board is here to listen to citizens' comments, but will not engage or respond to individual comments. There will be no formal action taken by the board on this matter until it is discussed and voted upon at the next regular board meeting, which is Monday, February 26th at 6:30 p.m. here in the Telstar Library. If you wish to speak tonight, please start with your name and the town you reside in. Please direct your comments to the board, not to the citizens in attendance. This is not a forum for debate. We ask that you keep your comments respectful and that no specific individuals are named. For efficacy and clarity, we will divide this evening's comments into 3 points of view. 1, those who support the appeal of the review committee's recommendation and would like the book to be removed from the library. 2, those who wish to uphold the review committee's recommendation and would like the book to remain in circulation. And 3, any other pertinent comments that may not fall within these categories. We'll allot 20 minutes per point of view. Each individual may speak once. If you find that your opinion has already been stated, we ask that you refrain from repeating the statements. Before we begin hearing comments on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank everyone in advance for their time and their willingness to speak. The board will consider your comments objectively and take them into consideration when we're making our final decision on the book challenge. That being the case, we're ready to hear from the public. We'll start with those who support the appeal of the review committee's recommendation and would like the book to be removed from the library. Is there anyone wishing to speak to this kind of view? Stephanie.
Hello, thank you all for having a special meeting to discuss. I'm Stephanie Erickson. I was the one who submitted the original challenge and then the appeal of the review committee's recommendation. I have not had a chance to speak to you since I submitted the challenge, but you guys all have my original challenge, so tonight I'm just going to speak to my appeal of the review committee's recommendation. First, I just want to share for anyone who's listening at home with children present that I will be citing directly from the book, Me Earl and the Dying Girl, and it is explicit. The review committee appears to have been very selective in what sections of policy they acknowledged, referencing the section of parental rights to justify the inappropriate material being accessible to middle and high school students. But the truth is, nowhere in policy IJJ are parental rights used as a blanket covering for all library material. I also just want to point out as a side note that up until a few months ago, most parents didn't even know that this book was in the library or accessible in students' classrooms. Many parents still don't even realize the content of this book. The committee did not take policy IJJ as a whole, but instead, out of the policy's 10 criteria for selection, the committee's recommendation references only 2 of those 10 criteria. One reference is criteria item C, which states that library material should enrich and support curriculum. However, the committee failed to support this claim by providing what curriculum Me Earl and the Dying Girl supports and enriches. I would like to inquire just what curriculum the school is using that a book that makes light of rape and incest supports and enriches. There are 3 critical criteria for selection that the committee's recommendation did not mention, Criteria item D, library materials should take into consideration the varied maturity levels of the students served. Criteria item H, library materials should stimulate growth in factual knowledge. And criteria item I, library materials should provide a background of information that will enable students to make thoughtful and informed decisions in their daily lives. The committee makes no reference to the book's actual content, such as mentions of rape, molestation, incest, and sexual advances by teachers on students. There is no way to even assess students' maturity readiness on these subjects because that would require one to know every student's history of sexual abuse. This is a real problem. Research shows that about 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 20 boys in the United States experiences sexual abuse as a child. So I'd just like to paint a picture to the board. A 6th grader is given Me Earl and the Dying Girl by one of their teachers. This book has been defended by several trusted adults at Telstar. In the book, the student reads, "Are you going to eat her pussy?" "Yeah, Earl, I'm going to eat her pussy." "Yeah, do you even know how to eat pussy?" Not really." "Papa Gaines never sat you down, said, 'Son, one day you're going to have to eat the pussy.'" "No, but he did teach me how to eat a butthole." Or, "I'm also going to be that gay uncle, draw a fake mustache and pretend to be all fat and shit. Be like, 'Boy, I'm gay as hell. I'm a fuck you.'" When reading Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, the student becomes horribly confused and distressed. Are these sexual encounters with adults normal? My teacher gave me this book. My principal recommended it. This is not a far-fetched scenario. Books of this nature stand to normalize rape, incest, inappropriate adult-child sexual behavior, especially among younger students. Even without having experienced sexual abuse, there are absolutely students who are not ready for such content. It certainly doesn't stimulate growth in factual knowledge, and it absolutely does not enable students to make thoughtful and informed decisions in their daily lives. And that's not even half of the profanity of the book. The word fuck is used 94 times. Bitch is used 8 times. Pussy 13 times. Dick or cock 25 times. Titties 7 times. Fag or gay 11 times. Shit 88 times. Ass 53 times. Boner 7 times. I didn't in my challenge or in my appeal even reference the parts of the book that discuss teachers getting high at school, teachers getting high with their students, students ditching class to get high. I basically focused on these items here, but those do add to the maturity level of our students. Are 10-year-olds really ready for that kind of material? And I do just want to point out that at the November meeting, there was a school board director that requested alternative books be provided for reference. To my knowledge, the review committee did not provide that, so I just would like to ask the board to request alternative books to Me and Earl. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak to the first point of view? Moving on to the second point of view, those who wish to uphold the review committee's recommendation and would like to book the book to remain in circulation. Is there anyone that would like to speak to this point of view? Janet?
Janet Bartlett. I was asked to be part of the book review committee as a community member, which I've been a part of for about 21 years now. I felt like it was important to share my perspective on how I came to support the vote of the committee, although right now my nerves are wondering why I did that. But I I do support the decision that we made as a committee not, or to recommend not banning the book, Me Earl and the Dying Girl, and upholding the freedom of choice in doing that. In conversation with the committee and several with the district librarian, I really was able to get a glimpse of the dynamics and the challenges of choosing books for our students and the district libraries. I was also fascinated by the policy and the fact that there was things in place that support our parental rights in what material our children are exposed to and challenging the materials in general. So looking at SAD44's policy, IJJ, quote, a student's parent or legal guardian may inspect on request any instructional material used as part of the curriculum. The board recognizes that the final authority for what materials an individual student will be exposed to rests with that student's parents or legal guardians. However, at no time will the wishes of one child's parents to restrict his or her reading or viewing of a particular item infringe on the other parent's rights to permit their children to read or view the same material. End quote. So I do again find it important to note that while I support the decision of recommending to not ban this book, it doesn't mean that I actually disagree with Stephanie's concerns that this book is inappropriate for any or all children of different ages. I also pretty certain that from my looking around the library and being around, there are other things in the library that I know I wouldn't want my children to read or be exposed to. But the policy reminds me that we need to pay attention as parents and our rights to be able to do so with intentional conversation first and foremost to our children, but also intentional and respectful conversations with their teachers, the librarians, and the admin in expressing any concerns that we might have or possible limitations of material that, again, we want our children exposed or not exposed to. And these conversations give these adults, the best ability within their means to be able to support our rights in this. When said conversations do not work, and it does happen, I know all the challenges and concerns that I've brought forth in the past, although always met with respect, they don't always work out. So then, in that kind of situation, a challenge can then be presented with the steps outlined in the policy. Quote, in the event a complaint is made, the following procedures will apply. A, the complaint shall first be heard by the person providing the materials in question, and B, if the complaint is not resolved, the complainant shall be referred to the building principal, end quote. The policy does go on with further steps on how to handle a challenge. However, in this scenario, it was brought to our attention that both steps A and B were bypassed, leaving out what I think is pretty crucial, the conversation and potential understanding and or compromise by both parties. I do want to just end in saying that I believe that we can disagree to coexist. I believe we need to have respect and understanding for each other and our perspectives. I believe we need to utilize the policy and within the lines of communication supporting our children's education and their educators, upholding the freedom to choose for ourselves and our own children, but not for all. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Frazier. I'm from Bethel, and I've been the library and a teacher at Telstar Middle School, High School for the past 26 years. Part of my job is to protect intellectual freedom and the freedom to read. The American Library Association defines intellectual freedom as the ability to freely pursue our interests and read, view, and hear ideas. Libraries have an obligation to oppose the forces working against intellectual freedom, which include any form of censorship, exclusion, or suppression of the free expression of ideas. And I want to speak to you tonight because I have a professional obligation to guarantee Telstar students with the guidance of their families, protection of their First Amendment rights. Banning books infringes upon everyone's freedom to read. It impedes the right to cultivate intellectual curiosity. It obstructs the open exchange of information. Advocating for the freedom to read is critical in safeguarding the democratic principles that promote a society that values the freedom of intellectual exploration and individual choice. The SAD44 school board policies set the bar extremely high for banning a book, with good reason. As you know, the SAD44 district has policies and procedures specifically to protect intellectual freedom. The board recognizes that the final authority for what materials an individual student will be exposed to rests with the student's parents or legal guardians. However, at no time will the wishes of one child's parents to restrict his or her reading or viewing to a particular item infringe on another parent's rights to permit their children to read or view the same material. This selection policy, part of the section policy, is clear. One parent cannot infringe upon another parent's rights to permit their children to read library books, individual classroom books, or participate in the school's curricula. I believe this to be most critical. The policy clearly states that an individual is protected from reading any content not deemed appropriate by the family. In short, a student does not have to read a particular book, especially if its contents oppose a family's values. The ultimate arbiter of a student's reading is the parent. The issue of banning books has become popular in current culture. In Maine, there were 22 challenged books in 2022, and these numbers are growing. Most of these complaints surround themes and languages specific to marginalized and oppressed populations. These challenges rely on resources not from local communities, but from national organizations pushing an agenda. Many times, the person who makes the complaint has not read the entire book. Websites like booklooks.com, whose mission is to rate books to inform parents about books in order to make good choices for their own children, are instead unfairly used to take away choices. Me Earl and the Dying Girl was not taken out of this library until this challenge was issued for more than 4 years. Moreover, most didn't even know of its existence. The challenger does not have a student who checks books out of this library. This indicates the challenge is not likely about the book, the language in the book, the content, the overall theme, but instead the censoring and banning of books for students who use the Telstar library. Banning this book will take away choice from all students and parents. If this book is taken off the shelves, if this infringement of the First Amendment is ever allowed, this will not be the last time we will be here at a school board meeting debating this issue. This will establish a dangerous precedent. The discussion about books should be around issues of what brings us together. Books serve as catalysts for connection, understanding, and personal growth. Engaging with diverse literature allows us to become more open-minded, tolerant, and respectful of one another. Books open your mind. They strengthen your curiosity about the world. Books cultivate respect for people who are different from one another. Sims Bishop's windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors metaphor says that books are mirrors when readers see their own lives reflected in the pages, and books are windows when they allow the readers to view lives and stories that are different from their own. And books become sliding glass doors when readers feel transported into the world of story and when they feel empathy for the characters. Students not only want to see themselves in the characters in the books they read, but conversely they want to read about characters that are not at all like themselves. As a result, new pathways of learning teach them about the world. This teaches appreciation, understanding of others, and the cultural importance in the world in which they live. Blocking the availability of books limits our students' access to information and ideas, which can be detrimental to their personal growth and education. It's important to create space for individuals to read and learn about a wide range of topics and perspectives. The SAD44 school board has an obligation to uphold its policies. The purpose of this policy is to protect the intellectual freedom of all students. Banning books only serves to limit students' ability to explore new ideas and perspectives. That being said, we owe it to our students to work together to protect and nurture the culture of open-mindedness, curiosity, and respect for diverse viewpoints. By doing so, we ensure that HealthStar students will have access to a wide range of reading materials that will help them develop critical thinking skills, empathy, and understanding of the world around them. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Hello, everybody. My name is Marcel Pollock. I'm from the town of Woodstock. I recognize many of you. I served on your side of the table for a number of years. I'm here to speak against banning any book. I would like you, as you leave today, to look at that banner. That banner basically lists 100 books that have been banned over the years. And one of those books is The Grapes of Wrath, written in 1939 about the horrible conditions of farm workers and depression. And as is happening right now, it was an outside group. It was the Associated Farmers of America who were really opposed to having the truth told about the exploitation of those farm workers. And they basically burned the book, actually, and they got the County Board of Supervisors to ban the book in libraries and in the school district. So this is the problem with banning a book for any reason, whether it's because you don't like the message about exploiting people or about sexual language, is that it's a slippery slope. There's no place to stop. It just keeps going. 100 of those books. One of those books, of course, is very well known. It's the Bible. And I was going to read one of the passages that describes animal sex with animals. I will spare you that. It's Ezekiel 23:20. It's a pretty nasty passage. And there are passages of genocide in the Bible. But the Bible, like Earl, and I'm not going to compare the two, the key is that the Bible has many other overarching messages that are positive. And it's the same thing with Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. And in the complaint actually states that the overall message of the book is good. And that's why the book is here in this library. So it's important to leave it. And my last message to you as you make your decision in 2 weeks is let freedom read. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak at this point of view? Is there anyone that would like to share an opinion that didn't fall within those two realms? Seeing none, thank you very much for your time and for your comments this evening. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.